Welcome to the Next Step In podcast. This is episode 7. Hard to believe, but it is. And as you can tell by these lovely, wonderful, festive outfits and accoutrement, that we are in the holiday season. Do you like that word, by the way, Eddie?
That was a really good word, man. Like, I give you a gold star right now, like one of those scratch and sniffs, like from back in the day.
Oh my goodness. It is hard to believe, man. It is that season where we're so busy, joyful, stressful, reflective, like all the adjectives, right? But it's like the time of year that we start to think about things and start to kind of get back into the kind of reframing. I know you are a huge list maker, and I can only imagine you're already working on like your 2026 goals already, if I had to guess.
Oh, 2026 is going to get it.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling. So, but anyway, so thank you guys for listening and watching. This is a little bit different episode, more of a fun episode, just to kind of round out the year because it's hard to believe, but we're already through. We've had 6 episodes this year. We appreciate you listening in. This is number 7, and it's kind of a great point to kind of take a natural pause and think about kind of what's next and what we've done so far this year and kind of where we're heading. And our mission remains the same. We're still dedicated as ever to getting more and more students in the state of Indiana to think about what's after high school and think about where they're going to go, and whether that be additional training, education, whatever works for them and their families, but making sure that they're taking that next step in their careers and their journeys and their education to be able to support themselves, their families, and the state of Indiana. And so I think I won't speak for you, Eddie, I'll let you speak for yourself, but I think we are still ever committed to this mission.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the time of the year. One of like my favorite things of this time of the year is all the wrap ups, right? Your content, what you've taken in the year. We always get these wrap ups from these different platforms, and you listeners did not disappoint us with some of your ratings. On one platform, we were a 2025 instant hit show. Joe, were you aware of that?
I was.
Yeah, our debut season more popular than 76% of new shows. That's big time. That's big time. So clearly, folks want to discuss higher education and workforce alignment and all the things that impact the state of Indiana. Outside of the Kelsey brothers, I think our show might be number 2 in the country, and we haven't had Taylor on yet. So it's just a matter of time.
Is that 2026? Is that 2026? We got her lined up and booked and ready?
New Year's resolution, we're going to get Taylor Swift on the Next Step In podcast.
I can promise you our ratings will go through the roof if that happens, and we will officially have arrived if that ever happens. But you're right. That thank you for bringing that up. It is. Thank you guys so much for listening, for sharing. I know several people have reached out via email and just kind of sharing thoughts, and we've even got a few guest recommendations for the new year that have come in recently that I greatly appreciate, and I'm really excited about 2026 and kind of where we continue to go with the podcast. We want to make it better, right? Obviously the first 6 episodes, I think we've done a pretty good job. We've got really good numbers, but we want to make it as impactful for you and want to make it a resource that can really help you and your families and your students or help your communities. So we're dedicated to that, and we know there's no single right path, right? And it's all those small steps, right? That's really, really what it's about. And hopefully that you've been able to take some nuggets away from these episodes and you put up with our talk about sports, which, there's so many things we could talk about still on college sports, but it has just been a crazy, crazy, crazy year in college sports. And thanks for putting up with us talking about that as well.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to know my opinion about certain things that have taken place in sports, specifically college, please email me so that we can have a private conversation. I am not one that is pleased about certain alignments that have occurred over the last 10 days.
I can honestly say those are that know you and we have. Hey, look, Indiana, we support each other's teams. We got fans all over the place. But I will tell you that Mr. Bobbitt has that green hat on, not just to represent a Christmas tree, but also that gold star on top that may or may not represent the Irish of Notre Dame. And I'm surprised there actually isn't a Notre Dame helmet back there somewhere in the background. But
got to keep it classy, Joe. Got to keep it classy down here. We got the stocking. It's the holiday season, bro. Come on.
So yeah, if you would like to send a gift to Eddie, because he probably needs it after what happened in the college football playoffs, I'm sure he would definitely take that. And keep looking out for him. And the rest of you, the Hoosiers, who find yourself with the number 1 football team in the country, which I still just sounds ridiculous coming out of my mouth. I don't know. I don't know what the heck's happened in 2025, but it's been interesting. So, but congrats and congrats to I don't know, to the chaos that has happened in college football this year.
There's going to be some candy stripes in Miami for the Natty. I'm calling it now.
Ooh, man. Okay. All right. I hope so. But you never know. We'll see we'll see what happens. I'm glad Georgia's not on our same side of the bracket. Let's just say that, and some of the other, Ohio State. I'm glad they're on the other side as well.
Yeah. So,
So we'll see, but yeah. So anyway, it's been a fun year. I know one thing, kind of one message I kind of wanted to share, with students too. I want you to enjoy your time with your families, right? And I want you, if you're a family member and you've got students coming back, or you guys are just kind of getting ready for the holidays, enjoy your time. This is often a time that families get together and start talking about some of these things, right? Because you have time and things slow down a little bit, and you're thinking about, hey, what's going to happen next year? I'm going to graduate high school. I'm going to go somewhere. Where am I going to go? Your aunt and Uncle Johnny are going to ask you what schools you visited. You're going to have people ask, where is Johnny going to go to school next year? So those are the kind of things that come up a lot during the holidays. And, it's okay if you don't know your major, you don't know what 100% which direction you're going. Your path looks a little bit different than maybe your friends or the kids, the other parents in the room and their kids and what they're going to do. It's not about perfection. It's about progress, but just don't be afraid to have those conversations.
no question. And if I had to give some advice to some parents, guardians, family members of maybe some high school students who are in the search right now, they're in the thick of it. We're past the EA deadline. They're starting to get their scholarship offers, their merit-based scholarships. We haven't got the SARs done yet from filing the FAFSA, but hopefully we are filing the FAFSA. As you're having these conversations with these young people, be mindful of your questions, because sometimes students feel this unnecessary pressure to have it all figured out at 18 years old. And it's just not realistic, right? So, it always happens. And I tell my students this, I'm like, you're going to tell a loved one, I'm interested in this college. And the very next question is going to be, well, what are you going to study? And then immediately there's this pressure that they better figure it out, or they better have a specific major in these two minors. And I tell my students this all the time. When you're talking to a loved one, you're talking to a parent, you're talking to a guardian, and they ask you, where are you going to go to college? Or what colleges have you applied to? The very next question is always, well, what are you going to study? And it puts this weird, unnecessary pressure on students that they have to know exactly what they want to study. So sometimes I find it kind of alarming when I ask a student, I'm like, what are you thinking about studying? And they have this incredibly specific with all these minors and this concentration. And I'm like, I'm glad you've done the research, but like, give yourself an opportunity to like look at other things as well. So I encourage, make sure that your students are directionally correct. They don't have to have everything figured out. You probably didn't have everything figured out. I certainly didn't have everything figured out in college. So let's be mindful of that. And another tip to have some meaningful conversation with young people in your life, instead of asking them where you go and what you're studying, ask them, what problem do you want to solve? Because you start there, and then that can get them thinking and start thinking about, well, I want to solve this issue in our climate, or I love helping people. And then you can then work backwards on what they want to study and where they want to study.
I think it's great advice. One of the things I keep coming back to is that, your support as a family matters more than really the advice, right? We're all quick to like give this advice, and we want to mostly because and it always comes from a good place, right? We want to help the student, but sometimes that's the last thing that really is helpful is when you just kind of get loaded up with advice at the holidays, from everybody and kind of what they think your life should be, and I've always kind of gone back to that, ask really good questions instead of giving quick answers, right? Like, so like it's really about probing, right? Asking those questions and trying to get the student to think through things a little bit. But like you said, not if they don't have the right answer, the fact that they're even thinking about it and communicating about it at all is a great step in the right direction. So I think that's another great sign. And don't think that. I guess the other advice I would give is that keep an open mind. You might want Timmy to go to, Indiana University because that's where you went, that's where all your family went. But he may want to go to the military, or he may be looking at another option. And so just be careful with your words and try not to shut things down too much if they may be taking a different approach. As long as they're taking positive steps forward, that's what we want in Indiana, right? We want people to make good decisions for them, and really want. I'm sure that was not a decision that was just kind of just snap to right away, right? There's been a lot of thought into that. Eddie, you see that every day. You probably hear about this before break
Oh,
happens.
all the time. And I especially see it after holiday break with all these family get togethers, and you're drinking your eggnog, and all of a sudden Uncle Larry's the expert in higher education and majors and minors. And you shouldn't do this because you're not going to get it paid. And don't listen to Uncle Larry. He's not the best. I mean,
He loves you.
yeah,
He loves
he
you.
loves you. There might be something in that eggnog that is swaying his opinion and the things that he's offering you. Okay. In all seriousness, I can't stand it when I have a young person come back to my office in the spring and somebody over the holidays said something that made them question what they really want to do, and not in a good way. Like they were confident, they knew exactly what they wanted to do. They're still trying to figure it out, but then they start questioning it because they got some unsolicited advice at a family gathering. So let's support our young people. This is a tough time. Also remind them they're not trying to decide where they're going to be for the most part the next 4 years if they are thinking about college. Let's remind our young people that they're really just trying to decide where they're going to be for 3 months next year. And then after that, they can make another choice, whether they're going to stay at that university or make another change. Alleviate that pressure from them so that they can feel confident in their decisions.
That makes a lot of sense. So are you telling them, are you having transfer portal conversations already, Eddie? Is that what you're
No,
saying? You're telling
absolutely.
them that they
No question. I tell students, I'm like, look, you are deciding where you're going to be next July to Thanksgiving. And then after that, you can decide to go back. It's a decision every year that you make and every semester that you make. And when I see that, sometimes I see the relief in the students. They just like,
Yeah.
oh, you're right. Like if I'm trying to decide between IU and Indiana State, most likely in one semester, that university is still going to be there, young people. Like you're not going
No, that's
anywhere.
a great
So
no, that's a great point. I love that idea about the relief that comes over there. So be mindful for those cues, right? If you're having conversations, and I often talk about like celebrating the effort too. It's not just all about outcomes because outcomes are going to vary, but also like families, like success looks so different for every student. You know that. I mean, you guys know that as families and supporters, but it looks so different for every student. And just kind of try to keep that in mind. During the break and during that time. And hey, I'll say another thing because we have all different types of listeners. If you have a college student coming back for the first time, after their first semester in college, enjoy every minute of that too, because I know that that's probably been a big adjustment for your family. And having that student come back, you're probably going to see a lot of, every experience is different, but I know a lot of families that just really get a lot of joy when they get to see their kids again, back at home during the holidays after they've been gone for the first semester. I know that that's a big deal for a lot of families.
oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, one of the things that you can do though, as we think about goal setting and we talk about the new year and kind of what happens is, setting those small incremental goals, right, and helping those people within your family do that. Whether that's filling out one application, whether that's taking one campus visit, whether that's talking to one mentor, whether that's exploring some sort of a career certificate, building those kind of small intentional steps throughout the year, no matter where they are in the journey. Eddie, maybe you could talk a little bit about that, about kind of what you talk to your students about and how they can just kind of set up those short-term goals that don't have to become so overwhelming to have it all figured out in one, as soon as they get back from break.
No question. Last year, one of my students who is now at Rolls-Holman University, I'll never forget. He's like, Mr. Bobby, you said something one time to me that really stuck with me, and that's to aim small. And he's like, I was always told like aim high, aim high. But he's like, I get what you're saying. If you aim small, what's the next thing that I can do, or what's the next little thing that can be a building block for something that's greater? And sometimes that's all you need to do, and that's all you need to hear. It's like let's just do the next thing, right? And there are going to be young people that are sitting around the table this holiday season, and you're going to ask where have you applied to college, and they're going to say I haven't. Okay, let's be mindful that they probably have a lot going on. So like, let's encourage them. Well, what's the next best thing that we can do? Can we create our account to start the application? Can we log into Common App? Let's just get the ball rolling so that we can ultimately file the applications or get to where it is that we're going.
So Eddie, you brought it up a little bit, but we obviously are talking about those that are seniors. So, that's kind of who we see often and talk to. But let's think about even earlier, because I do know we have some amazing students in the state of Indiana that, are, like you said, are kind of way ahead of the game. What should like juniors and sophomores be thinking about, or should they
Oh,
even be thinking about things right now?
having great conversations with my juniors right now. Right now, juniors, this is the time to start thinking about college and post-secondary planning is right now. We're not waiting until our senior year. If you're a junior right now, you've got one more semester to impress colleges, to impress scholarship providers. You got one more semester. So what do you need to be doing right now? Well, during the holiday break, I encourage you to start working on extracurricular resumes. There's all kinds of templates out there. Any listener can reach out to me. I've got a ton of them I'll send to you and your student that they can start working on. Two things can happen there. One, you start putting that together, and all of a sudden it feels like there's a relief because you can see it all on paper. It's organized, and you're ready to rock come senior year. Second is you can start identifying gaps. Really strong academically, but I have no community service to speak of. Well, how can I fix that before July 1? Right? Or you may be in a situation, and some of my students are in this, they go to put a resume and they don't have anything to put on there.
Mm.
And in that case, we got to get on it. It's December. We've got about 7 months before we start this process. So, juniors, I encourage you to start working on that. I encourage you to get on campus. Even if it's your local campuses, get on there, walk around, see what you like, see what you don't like. You will be amazed at some of the things that are going to change what you want out of the collegiate experience just by walking around on a campus. Oh, I really like that kind of rec center, or I like that dorm because you can control the temperature. I used this example in a previous episode. One of my students, that was her deal breaker. If she couldn't control the thermostat, she wasn't going to go to that university. And I was like, see, you need to learn about those things. And the best way to do that is to get on campus.
It's funny you say that because I've never really thought about that, but it's just like a job interview. It's like you learn how to ask better questions the more interviews that you go through. And so using that local campus in your community just to see what a college tour is even about, and just so that you can learn what questions to ask and see what they talk to you about, so that you can be a little bit more prepared when you do hit those schools that maybe are higher on your list, if that is something that's in a different town or a different type of institution. I kind of like that, kind of going through the reps a little bit, taking that small step just to learn what you don't know. It's funny that you say that because I had a conversation with a student. Actually, funny enough, it was at an IU football watch party during the Big Ten championship when IU was playing Ohio State, and they were telling me that they actually took a college visit, and that the student was dead set on going to that campus and didn't have a good touring day at that campus, at that institution that we were talking about, and it completely changed the narrative. I mean, that student completely wrote that university off based on that one visit. So those visit days are important, and you want to ask the right questions. And it was fascinating, and a really good reminder to me about how much that institutions in the state of Indiana even have to do a really good job when we have students that are visiting campuses. They are really making decisions, and we can't just phone it in. We can't just say, oh, well, they're going to ask the right kind of questions. We really got to do a good job and a better job of making sure that we're making those experiences memorable. If not, we're going to find those students going to other institutions that are figuring it out and doing it a little bit better.
No question. And some of the feedback that I get from parents are like, oh, we're going to go on a college visit when the weather gets nicer. No, go to a campus when it's cold and it's raining outside. Like you see some reports that one of the best times if you're looking for a home and you're going to buy a house, go check out the house when it's raining and see what happens, right? I've had students who have been on campuses when it's really cold and they're like, you know what? This school's not for me because I'm not traveling across campus when it's 10 degrees and it feels like this, right? So don't use the weather as a reason not to go. Use that as a reason to go and let your young people walk across a massive campus in 10-degree weather and say, did you like that? Because that's going to be the reality.
Yeah, the wind hits a little different in January than it does in August.
Yeah.
Anywhere, venture to say anywhere in the state of Indiana, that's true.
No question. It's not hard to look nice when it's 75 and sunny, right? Like walk across the campus when it's sleeting and it's nasty outside. And it's not like the University of Minnesota, which, by the way, has gerbil tubes basically underneath campus so that you don't have to go out in the elements. That's pretty cool. But
That
a
yeah.
lot of universities don't have that. So you're going to have to deal with the elements, and that's just the reality. That's why you got to get on these campuses. And that's for you freshmen. What?
I say, I hope they brand them better than gerbil tubes. I don't. Do they brand it gerbil
I mean,
tubes?
they're gophers, aren't they? So what do gophers
Oh,
do?
they are.
So, I mean,
All right.
let's revisit that and what they're calling it. But they do have underground tunnels. So, but these are the things that you want to do. And freshmen, sophomores, it's not too early to get on campuses. Call. It's easy to set up. You usually can call the Office of Admissions and say, my student's interested in going on a tour. As I've said in previous episodes, remember that those tours are outstanding, but they're going to show you all the nice shiny things. You want to take that into consideration, but that's not the only thing you take into consideration. You want to look at the full body of work and the full view of it, and the best way to do that is to get on campus.
And it's funny that you say that because now I'm just remembering more of that conversation with that family is playing back in my head from that watch party. And one of the things they said was that this institution would not take them into student housing. And that was a real big deal breaker for them. I mean, there could be reasons. I've worked in colleges. Maybe it's full of capacity. They don't have a room that they have that's a showroom. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why things come up, but that was important to them, right? And the institution wasn't able to do that, and that was the deal breaker, right? That was like really something that really, really kind of struck them that they weren't able to see student housing. And that was one of the biggest concerns that they had. So I bring that up just to say that know what you really are concerned about, and if you see your schedule on your tour day and you may not see exactly on there what you want, you got to ask for sure.
Sure.
Definitely don't be afraid to ask, and and ask the institution, the admissions officers or whoever's working with you to see if they can arrange something, or maybe reach out to the school that you might be visiting to be able to be able to do some things a little different to get those on your agenda.
Well,
So yeah, never hesitate to
no
ask.
question. And students, when you're visiting these campuses, it's not going to work now because most universities are done with finals, so most campuses are pretty bare. But when we get back in the spring and you're doing these visits, ask to see a classroom, like to sit in on a class. Now, ask the professor before you sit down and listen to their content because some of them will get frustrated if they don't know who you are. But again, sit in a college class, get that feeling, see what you think, and see if that class feel is something that you want. And sometimes students think because they watch all the movies, and every movie, every college classroom is the size of Memorial Stadium. That's not the reality at most schools. Some schools, obviously, there's large lecture halls, but even then, some of the large lecture halls are for like some of those beginning courses. Whereas as you move further in your career, it's more like a high school setting where there might be 15, 20 people in the class.
No, I think that's a great piece of feedback, and I guess the other thing that I would say is, some students even go into college thinking, you know what, I want to take most of my classes online until they find out they go to that class and they see this lecturer there that's really engaging and is having this great conversation and is making this topic a lot of fun, and it's a topic they may already be interested in. They're like, heck no, I don't want to do this online. I want to do this face to face. So you just never know when your perceptions might change based on that. More and more college students in Indiana are taking online courses, and they can be great. But there's also, there's pros and cons to anything, right? And you just got to know where you land. Just our last guest for our last episode, Dr. Eric Schonsberg talked about. There's different types of institutions, different types of learning styles. You got to find what fits your needs and what works best for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Looking ahead for the Next Step In podcast, we're excited. We've got some new guests and some new stories and some new resources that we're going to talk through. We're going to continue to tell the real Indiana stories to make education feel more reachable and accessible. I'm really excited. I can go ahead and tell you who our next guest is going to be in January. I've had a really good conversation with this gentleman and have worked with him now. I think I've been in 2 or 3 meetings with him in this fall, and that is our Secretary of Commerce for the state of Indiana, David Adams. And David's got a really interesting background. So he's obviously, very much, very tuned into what's happening in the Indiana economy, being the Secretary of Commerce, both what's happening from a workforce development standpoint to an innovation standpoint. But the thing I love about his background is he is also has a really significant higher ed background. He's also a first generation college graduate, but he is a speed school graduate from the University of Louisville, so engineering background. And he ended up going to the yeah, there you go, your L's are up. I see him, I see your L's up. So Dr. Adams ended up going to he actually ended up working for the University of Louisville for several years with the president there, working in innovation before going with that president to the University of Cincinnati. And when he was at the University of Cincinnati, he created this wonderful place called the Cincinnati Innovation District. And I was able to visit that a couple weeks ago with him and some other leaders in the state of Indiana. And it is just unbelievable to see what they're doing with innovation and entrepreneurship at the University of Cincinnati. And that institution continues to grow as well. I think it's like 54,000
Right.
students now. And so it was really interesting to hear David's kind of context on that and his background in higher education, his love for higher education, but also his love for outcomes and making sure that the higher ed is adapting to make sure that they're working with and at the end of the day solving problems for companies and the workforce. Really, really passionate about that, and I can't wait to have that discussion. So that's a big one we're going to have in January. So I hope that you'll tune back in for that. And though there are others that we're working on, but really looking forward to having some conversations. I got a couple university presidents and their offices that have reached out to that may want to have some additional conversations around the state of Indiana, and so looking forward to having some of those conversations as well. So it's going to be a big year, I think. I mean, I'd be honest with you, Eddie. I wasn't 100% sure exactly where. I knew that we had a solid plan on how the first 6 episodes would go, but we kind of wanted to see where kind of the direction was taking us. And I think we're heading in still a really good direction.
Yeah, we are directionally correct. And that's exactly what we're trying to get our young people to do. And that's what we've been so far. But we're going to continue to adapt this thing. And again, if you're listening and you're like, I really would like someone from this university or someone from this office, let us know. Shoot us an email. Find us on social media. Hopefully you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe so that more people can see the algorithm and this show get recommended to them as we continue to have these important discussions about higher education and post-secondary readiness in our state.
And I would also encourage you, visit our website, www.nextstepin.org. And on there, you can actually sign up for our subscriptions there for our newsletter. So I send out a newsletter and a show alert every time we drop a new episode. So you can be first to see that. And we're looking forward to continuing that and some other information. A lot of times we talk about studies and we talk about different information on the episodes. And so that gives us a way to be able to link to those and get those out. And also gives you an easy way to reply with some feedback to us that is really helpful. So if you like what you're hearing, great. Of course, we want to hear that. But if you also have recommendations for us about what would make the show better or what would be more helpful to you, because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want it to be helpful for you. We want it to be helpful for your students. We want it to be helpful for your communities to really have this conversation. And don't be afraid to disagree with us. I know there's a lot of people out there that, think that the model for college is flawed. And we've told you on this episode before that we know that there's room for improvement and work to do in higher ed around the state and around the country for that matter. But at the end of the day, we all have the same goal. We want a better Indiana. We want a better tomorrow for our children, our grandchildren, and we need to have those dialogue. We that's what education's about is talking through things. So yeah, definitely don't hesitate if you have a different point of view and you want to share that. I think that also is a healthy conversation, healthy dialogue. We hear it all the time, right, Eddie?
Oh, absolutely. We have these discussions, and again, it's healthy discussions. That's kind of the point, right? Is to hear each other's viewpoints and then challenge our own, and then come back to some type of agree to disagree or agree, whatever that may look like. So yeah, if you disagree with us, come on here. You could email us. We'll love to have a conversation, or we can meet at bike racks at 3 o'clock. If that's how you want to get down, we can do that. I would hate for you to catch the smoke of a guy wearing a Christmas tree on his head, but we can do that in all
I
seriousness.
mean, nothing says education like a Christmas tree and
Correct.
a Santa hat. I mean, right?
My beloved alma mater might pull my 3 degrees right now when they see this episode and what I'm wearing on my head.
If you're listening to the podcast and not watching us on YouTube right now, you are doing yourself a disservice. You should really check out the YouTube page and check that out as well. You can get that link on our website again, nextstepin.org, to see these wonderful hats that we are wearing because we're in the season. I mean, it is festive. And, at the end of the day, it's, you got to celebrate this kind of stuff, right? Life's too short. And that's what some of the things we've talked about. Like, the holidays are awesome. Like, we need to celebrate these things. And no matter how you and your family celebrate, it's time to reflect and kind of regroup. And speaking of that and regrouping, I know that New Year's will be certainly right around the corner, right? It's going to be here before we know it. And so I kind of want to ask you, Eddie, so what's one goal or what's one thing that you want to do with this podcast in the next year? What's one? I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but I'm kind of, you got to put it out there. You got to put it into the intention. You got to put it out there into the ether. So what's something you want to accomplish next year?
What I would like to accomplish with this podcast, well, other than Taylor Swift jumping on the telecast, that would be helpful.
Realistic, positive, smart goals, Eddie.
Listen, you said put it out in the universe, and that's exactly what I
did.
did. And now as a
Okay.
co-host, you're putting down my goals, and it's not very friendly of you. Santa Claus is watching this, Joe. No,
Yeah. Good point. I
no,
apologize.
I
You're
want to
right.
continue to have that discussion and I want to continue to bring on guests that challenge our listeners in the way that they think about post-secondary and the way that model is right now. That's the goal. Obviously, continue to grow it, and I think moving forward, we should probably get more college students and students that have dual credit, get them on here so we can hear their real lived experience.
I love that. I think that was kind of where I was heading. You kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but that's all right. That's what good co-hosts do, right? Because we're thinking similarly. I think I really do want to get more stories on here. I want to tell more of the stories of the people that have had different unique experiences, right? That they can relate to. That, hey, maybe things didn't work out and they transferred to two institutions. Maybe they went to college. It wasn't great that first semester. They sat out for 2 years, right? And then they went back, or maybe it was 5 years. Maybe they had a family and then they went back. There's so many different, so many different things and pathways and out there about how this has worked and how families have continued to grow through education. So yeah, I agree with you. I think we need to shoot for that in the next year and get more of those stories on there. So if you are someone that's listening and you're like, I've got a story that I probably should tell, I don't care what it is. If you think there's some value there that would help someone else that is in a similar situation as you, because I'm sure they're out there, feel free to reach out to us. Again, you can find all of our contact information on our website. That's nextstepin.org. And you can find that there. But I'm excited, Eddie. I appreciate you saying yes and joining me on this mission. I appreciate you kind of saying, hey, look, we don't know exactly where this is going to go. We know we want it to be bigger and better, and we want to do our little part to help this ecosystem. It's a big ecosystem around the state of Indiana, but I appreciate you saying yes. uh, Thank you again for all your help and joining us in this podcast.
No, these are fun discussions, and they're important discussions that need to be had. And we keep talking about our young people are going to college, but if you're a listener and maybe you started your degree and you're interested in going back and obtaining that degree, hit us up. We can get you connected to whoever it is that wherever it is that you want to go. I know this is primarily an Indiana podcast, but my beloved alma mater tomorrow is going to celebrate commencement with a student who started their career. And then I believe they took a 62-year break
Wow.
and now went back and finished their degree at 83 years old. And
I love
I
it.
can't wait. That the arena is going to go crazy for that graduate. So, it's the opportunities are there. And as I told someone else that they're like, I think I'm gonna go back and finish my degree. I said, hey, look, you're going to be 40 years old. You might as well be a 40-year-old college graduate, right? So
Love
let's
it.
make it happen.
I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much for all that you've done to support us. Please share this episode. Please like our page. Follow us on social medias. Eddie mentioned it earlier. It's really important. I know sometimes you hear all the podcast people saying that, hey, give us a like, share the podcast, but it really does help us. And really, it helps us reach more people. And that's really what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're reaching the right people and we have the right information out there. So if you want to give a Christmas gift to Eddie and myself, we would greatly appreciate you, going out on social media and sharing this or sharing it with a friend, to someone that needs it. That would be a great present for us and something that I think hopefully will help another person in your life. Unless you want something different, Eddie. But I mean, that's a pretty good present for
No,
us, I
I'll
think.
take that.
Okay. All right. You're not going to take your team being in the playoffs? Oh, that's a low blow. I should have done that. See, he was doing so well, and I brought him right back to it. And this is not what you do to friends. All right, I'm just going to put that out there. I got a better Christmas gift coming for you, Eddie. No
I
worries.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, guys, for listening to the Next Step In podcast. We've really enjoyed this and looking forward to 2026 and continuing on. We appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Have a great week. Happy holidays.